Okay, thank you, God, for everything. We are recording. This is a biblical word study where we define the Old Testament Hebrew and the New Testament Greek, each word, to get a better understanding of God's word. And what we were doing for a month or so, oh, we got a lot of these, was working on this fire, actually, purification, uh, found a goldsmith, examine, prove, test, purify, purge, and there a little bit of washing and washing away and refining and purification and all that good stuff. And we're going to continue in with that, and we're just kind of like put a cap on it and get into something else. I have the first thing I have up here is this 901. I don't know why that's the first one, but let me go to it in the book, and then we'll go to it up here on the page. So my notes are askew. Here we go. So this burning here, we look up, now sometimes you'll see Aramaic here. Let me put it up here big so you can see it. It's Yakad, and it's Aramaic, and a lot of this stuff will be in Daniel, but it corresponds to a Hebrew word. Now, I'm sure, Jonathan, that you're familiar with the Strong's concordance numbers. This would be 3345 in the Hebrew.
Okay.
The zero is here just to let me know that it's Old Testament. So, and that also will correspond. That's the Aramaic, because Daniel most of Daniel is written in Aramaic, and it corresponds to the 3344 in the Hebrew. So if you will get your concordance and you look up H, sometimes it's H 3344, but with my online Bible, it's 3344. That's how I differentiate between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Like the New Testament will just have, where am I? The New Testament will have, let me find a New Testament number here without the zero. Here we go. You'll see 4442. All right, and that lets you know that it's the Greek, and this is the word for fire in the New Testament, pur, like pneuma in pur. Pneuma in pur is spirit and fire, and the word pur. We're going to get into this hopefully a little bit. There's 4 or 5 words here for pur. 5. So you can see the 4442, and that would be in your Strong's Concordance. If you look it up in the Strong's Concordance, number 4442, it'll be the word fire, pur, P-U-R. And here, as you can see, TDNT, Theological Dictionary of the New Testament. It will be volume 6 on page 928. And I might read something from that. I have that a sticker in my book for that. I'm going to probably read if we get to it later. But just to let you know how we work here. And sometimes I go so fast that I don't realize that there are people that they're saying, what is he doing? What's he talking about? So that's why I want to slow down a little bit and show you how we do this here. All right. So what I'm going to do here is take this Aramaic stuff out of here. What's nice about this is because this gives you a when you have the word study concordance and you look up these numbers, all of these verses will be here. Daniel 3:11, Daniel 3:15, Daniel 3:17, and it has all of the numbers here. And we're looking at the Aramaic or the Hebrew word. We're not worried about what the English word is, but it just so happens that every word here means burning, and it's 8 times in the Bible. That's what these numbers mean. So we're going to take Daniel's numbers out of there, and we're just going to go with the Hebrew numbers, and it'll be burning, and it's 3344, and it's yakad, burn, kindle, and hearth. I don't know if I say that right. And this TWOT, as I mentioned, is the theological word book of the Old Testament. And if you had the book, you'd go to the page, and this is what you would find here. But I have it over here. We're going to look at this. So we get this out of here to make some room. And all of these words are associated with it. Isaiah 10:16, therefore shall the Lord of hosts, send among his fat ones leanness, and under his glory he shall kindle a burning like the burning of a fire. So you know about Isaiah is talking about right before they get taken away in 722 BC. So Isaiah is talking about Syrians are gonna come in and lead you guys away, and this is why. So this is one time in the Bible, this Yekod, it's a burning, and as you can see, it's one time in the Bible, and that's what it is. And then another word that's associated with it, I call these the M words because the 4169 in the Hebrew is mokedah. It's the same word. It's the yakad, but they put the mo in front of it, so it's mokedah, and it just means a burning, and it's one time in the Bible. Leviticus 6:9, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the burnt offering. It is the burnt offering because of the burning upon the altar all night unto the morning, and the fire of the burning shall be burning in it. All right. And then 4168 is a moked, and it means hearth or burning, so burning mass. And there's two verses there. Psalms 102 and 3. For my days are consumed like smoke, and my bones are burned as in hot. And this word burned here is barar. It's on my list. I haven't gotten to it yet. We'll probably get to it either today or sometime in the future. But this TWOT 756, there's not much on it, but we might run into it later. But all of these synonymous words show up in these verses, especially the ones about the burning and the fire and the hearth and the kindling and all of that stuff. I mean, I've got at least 20 words here that have to do with this burning and fire and purifying and things like that. So that and this one here, Isaiah 33:14, the sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness has surprised the hypocrites. Whom among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? And these are good questions. And we know who shall dwell with the devouring fire. We talked about the fire. What does it do? The fire is a purifying. When we talk about the burning the silver, the tin, and the brass, and the gold, and all that stuff, what we're talking about is burning off what? The impurities. And that's what happens to us. When we go through the fire, we don't get burnt, we don't get scorched. We become purer with that. And who shall dwell with the everlasting burnings? We can look this up. I got a feature here where I can look up commentaries for this particular verse, Isaiah 33:14. And every once in a while, I shoot over there and I see what Barnes has to say. I see what they have to say in these eclectic notes. JFB is Jameson Fawcett Brown. I like Poole. Poole usually gives some good commentary. The sinners of Zion are afraid. This is spoken not of the Assyrians, as some would have it, but of the Jews. And that's good. We know that's true, as appears both from the words themselves or from the following verses. The prophet, having foretold the deliverance of God's people and the destruction of their enemies in Isaiah 33:10-12, for the greater illustration of that wonderful mercy, here returns to the description and gives a lively representation of the dismal and frightful condition in which the Jews, especially such of them as were ungodly and unbelieving, were before the deliverance came. So he's talking about who shall abide. Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? How shall we be able to abide the presence and endure or avoid the wrath of that God who is a consuming fire, who is now about to destroy us utterly by the Assyrians and will afterwards burn us with unquenchable fire? And who shall dwell with us? in our stead? Who will interpose himself between God's anger and us? How shall we escape these miseries? So this is what all of this stuff is boiling down to. But they didn't abide with him, and they're going to get destroyed. And there's 9 verses here, and the TWOT 901. I have it down here. Let's see, as you can see, the 1, 2, 3, 4 different words here. We went through all of them, and then the 6:2 Leviticus. The more common words for burning are ba'ar and yasat, and I think we went through them. No, we didn't do ba'ar yet. That's the other one, and then the yasat is 3341. So I'm going to show you this. See, when I read these TWOT books, and it says the most common words for burning are ba'ar and yasat, I have to figure out where are these words, and I search them out and I find them. 1197, 1197 in the Hebrew. That's it. That's ba'ar, and as you can see, there's 94 times in the Bible. This burn, kindling, burn, consume, kindle. All right. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire in the midst of the bush. And he looked and beheld, the bush burned with fire, but the bush was not consumed. As you can see, you have a bunch of words in here synonymous with burning and fire, with a flame of fire. Labah. That's another good word. We looked it up. No, we didn't look it up. It's on my list. It's still on my list. Lehabah, which is a flame, a flaming, or a head. And that's TWOT 1077. We might get to it tonight, but I doubt it. And that goes with the masculine noun is lahab, and it's a flame, a blade, or a glittering and a bright. And we might get to it. Flame of fire. And here's the big word for fire. I'll put it up here. It's esh. As you can see, it's 379 times in the Bible. And it's a big word for fire. And I don't know if we did it. I know it's on my list. We might have done it, but it jumps up on all of these verses. Most of the verses that you get to with fire, you'll see that word esh, TWOT 172. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. We'll get through it, hopefully, one of these days, one word at a time. That's what we do here. So let me just continue with this reading here. That's Ba'ar. And then the Yasat is 3341. 3341. And that's Yasat. Okay. Let me put it up here. Yasat. TWOT 899. That's the last thing I looked up last week. Kindle, burn, set on fire. Most of the time it says for set on fire. So when you read this here, the more common words for burning are ba'ar and yasat. I just gave you both of them. So now we know what they are. And that's something else that we have to look up and study, these words. For the little expression, katar, burn incense, hara, for the figurative of anger burning, plus several other of less significance. We've looked at a lot of them. Qatar, I'm seeing if I have it. I should have it down here somewhere. I got Yakad, Qatar, but I'd have this hara. This hara is 2734. 2734. Hara, Kara, kindled, wrath, 2787. Kara, burn. We looked at this a couple of weeks ago. To burn, be hot, because there was two TWOT numbers. There was a 736, which means the heat, the burning, the anger. It's mostly talking about the burning of anger and stuff like that. And 756 is to be burned, be charged, violent heat, fever. So, and we covered these a couple of weeks ago, I believe. Uh, so when I come across this, I want to find out what these words are because these are synonymous words with what we're looking up here. So yakad, which is what we're looking at now, yakad, which would be let me get the number again, 3344, just to show it to you here. 44. It's the burning. All right, yakad. And its derivatives are mostly used in connection with the brazen altar. It's used several times in Leviticus 6, as you can see, 6:9, 6:12, and 6:13. The fire shall ever be burning upon the altar; it shall never go out. And this is where the Roman Catholics get that eternal flame from. I'm pretty sure. Uh, I can guess at that and say, yeah, that's probably where they got it from. But it was supposed to be an eternal flame here. This the fire burning upon the altar shall never go out. All right. Um, where instructions are given for the burnt offerings. For example, the burnt offering shall remain upon the hearth, the mokeda, on the altar all night until the morning, and the fire on the altar is to be kept burning. And you can see that in Leviticus 6:13. By and large, these words are used metaphorically for the wrath of God in judgment. Also, hara is more commonly used. That's the one of anger, the burning of anger. Nevertheless, yakad is used in the sense as in Deuteronomy 32:22, where he says, "For a fire is kindled in mine anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with our increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains." A lot of words in here. You got fire, you got kindled, you got burn, consume the earth, and they're set on fire. All of these words that we have to look at, the foundations of the mountains. And what are the mountains? Those are the cities. Let me get this out of here. All right. Some foundations. And Isaiah 10:16 picks up the figure of a fiery judgment. Therefore shall the Lord of hosts, send among his fat ones leanness, and under his glory he shall kindle a burning like the burning of a fire. And I have to look up all these words. Oh, he shall kindle, yakad, a burning, yoked, all from the same TWOT, like a burning of a fire. And here's your esh. All right. So all of these words are connected, and we got to get to all of them. Eventually, we'll look up every single word in the Bible, one day at a time. So it picks up this figure of fiery judgment. Jeremiah uses the same metaphor in Jeremiah 15:14. He says, "I will make thee to pass with thine enemies into a land which thou knowest not, for a fire is kindled in mine anger, which shall burn upon you." And also Jeremiah 17:4, and thou even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, Babylon, for you have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So this is Jeremiah. I mean, Isaiah was talking about the Assyrians coming in 722 BC, and Jeremiah is talking about the Babylonians coming in 586 BC. So they still haven't learned their lesson 100 some odd years later. They're still doing the same thing. Northern Israel taken away in 722, and southern Judah in 586 BC. And a slight twist to the metaphor, Isaiah reveals God's frustration with the recalcitrant people of Judah, declaring of them, "They are smoke in my nostrils, a fire that burns all the day." It's insolent people, man. He say, which say, "Stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all day." A smoke in my nose, a shan, and a fire and ash that burneth yakad all day. So these are people. They're brutish. The Aramaic cognate yakad is used 8 times in Daniel, and that's we looked up the Aramaic word as a participle for burning, modifying the fiery furnace. So you can see all of the fiery furnace in Daniel 3, where Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, and then everybody's got to bow to it. And when you hear the sounding of the psaltery, all that stuff, he says, and then the people of the land didn't like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they said, "Oh, King, these guys aren't bowing to you," so they threw them in the fire, and that's that whole thing in Daniel 3 about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And we know the story. God saved them out of that. And then in Daniel 7, all right, you'll see it, and it'll be in there a lot. The Aramaic word. The fourth beast of Daniel 7 is slain, and its body was destroyed and given to the burning fire, which anticipates the lake of fire and brimstone, into which the devil, the beast, and the false prophet are thrown in Revelation 20 and 10. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever. Cast into the lake of fire and brimstone. I like this word brimstone. Theon, to ward off disease. In its original sense, it means a flashing. When you break it down, it's theos, which means divine or Godhead. The general name of deities or divinities. All right. And when you break it down even more, it's theos. It means God. So I said, my word is a fire. Not only is his word is fire, but he's a fire. All right. Israel is wood. And that's figurative. Okay. So that's the 901. I'll get this out of here and see if this opened up. Nope, still going. All right. And then 736 and the 263. This we looked at. Okay, that's the 2734. Burn, to be kindled, wrath, angry, heat, burning of anger, heat, burning of anger. We just looked at this. We didn't study it, but we just looked at it. This word is related to the rare Aramaic word to cause to burn. And then hara is used in reference to the anger of both God, of man and God, and in parallel ways. In respect to man, the noun aph, or anger, when you see the word anger, it's aph. It means the nose. Frequently occurs as subject is anger was kindled. For instance, the anger of Potiphar, Joseph's master, was in Egypt, was kindled toward him over his wife's false accusation. And we know that his wife made a false accusation there. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. Well, we don't know if he was more angry with his wife or with Joseph. I mean, if he was really angry with Joseph, he would have killed him, right? Because you don't mess around with somebody's wife. That's a death sentence. But what did he do with Joseph? He threw him in prison. So he probably believed Joseph. And see, the word aph is the word anger here. And it also means face and nostrils, like with the nose flares. And his wrath was kindled. Hurrah. There we go. That's the word we're looking at. Kindled, wrath, hot, angry, displeased, to be hot. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing here, but it's in the TWOT. It was kindled in him. In respect to God, the noun aph is employed as subject in Numbers 11:1. Talks about the anger of the Lord was kindled. His anger is kindled, and it's still kindled to this day against us. The foundations of heaven moved and shook because it was kindled to God. Only once is the subject of the verb God. Man is never the subject. In Habakkuk 3:8 was the Lord displeased against rivers. Literally was the Lord kindled against rivers. Okay. Job 19:11 is used in the same way where app is employed. Job 19:11, something about anger being kindled here. He hath also kindled his wrath against me, and he counted me unto him as one of his enemies. Job was crying about what's going on with his life. He knows God's doing it, but he's saying, well, I'm wondering why God's so angry with me. And he's not. And then here we got this, the hit the fret not yourselves, effect. So this kindled, anger was kindled. It also means heat and burning. That's right. And then it's either well to be angry. Okay. Dost thou do well to be angry? That's at the end of Joel, right? Against the gourd. 263, to burn, consume, be kindled, fire, ba'ar, and that's TWOT 263. The number is 1197. I gave it to you earlier. Let me just throw it down. 97, and that's the burning bush. Ba'ar, to burn. And I don't know if I'm going to go through all of this. There's over 90 some odd verses here having to do with this. Means to burn. And as you can see, Ba'ar, Chara, Saraf, we went through, Yakad, Yasat, all of these words here. We've been through them already. Anger, okay, Ba'ar stretches the consuming and contagious qualities of fire, especially in a religious context. And nature, the burning, especially the ceremonial burnings. So the priests are commanded to burn wood on the altar continually, the lamps in the sanctuary burning all the time. Okay, so this basically talks about that. And my heart was hot within me. Okay, and Be'ara means fire, appears once in Exodus 22:6. If fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of corn or the standing corn or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. You got a couple of words of fire in there and burning. So that's the 263 theological word book of the Old Testament. I'm not going to spend too much time on that one. Let me close this and see if I can get a better look at this here. There we go. Now we're back to normal. Okay, and this is the big one for fire. The Esh 172. I don't think we went through it yet, but I want to see if anything here sticks out. You can see it appears over 370 times in the Bible. My cat's crying. He wants to get in again. I'm going to ignore him. According to Genesis 3:24, the climax of creation is a sword of fire, Lahat HaHareb, in Genesis 3:24, where he drove man out of the garden, and he placed at the east, the Garden of Eden, cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. And I'm looking for the Esh here, but this is flaming is Lahat. Okay. Lahat. Flaming sword. Kareb. Lahat Kareb. And when it talks about going through the fire, I mean, how are we going to get back to the garden? We have to go through this flaming sword. We have to go through the fire. And we'll never eat that tree of life until if we overcome. And we go into Nikkei, into the New Testament, where it talks about he that overcomes, I will give to eat of the tree of life. Just a quick life. And your tree of life is 10 times in the Bible, mostly in Genesis and Proverbs. And then you hear in Revelation, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit that said unto the churches, to him that overcometh, will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. So we won't have to go through that fire. Well, that's how we overcome. That's how we get the victory. Faith is the victory. And when we overcome it, we don't have to worry about that flame. So, and 22 and 2, in the midst of the street on either side of the river was there the tree of life. Okay. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. So we won't have to go to that flaming sword. All right. I can't stand this, Brian. Come on. Let's go. Come. Now you can't go out. Yeah, you crybaby. Come here. All right. I'm sorry. Sammy always interrupts my Bible study. He's a good boy. Even okay. The only way man can get back is to go through the fire. Thank you. I must have read that somewhere. As a climax to God's covenant with Abraham, a flaming fire moves through the separated pieces of the animals. We did go through some of this in Genesis 15 and 17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp passed between those pieces. And this is like the covenant. I think the word what's the word for covenant? The bull is smoking furnace, a shan tanur, oven or a furnace. And hopefully I'm going to get into this 52:16, the near, and it's a lamp, a candle, or a light. It's on my list. Hopefully we're going to get to it. When we get into the spirit and all that stuff, I want to get into it. And a burning, there you go, the ish, that's the fire, and the lamp also. We want to get into that. Lapid, the lamp. All right, the burning fire branch, the flaming torch like a pillar of fire, the lamp of the tabernacle, and the glory of God signified the holy, awesome presence of the Lord moving among his people. Thus God moved as a flaming torch between the divided pieces to confirm his covenant with Abraham. That's the covenant, Baal, I think it is. And appeared in flashes of lightning on Sinai. When Zion is finally delivered, her salvation will be like a burning lamp, and her governors like a torch of fire. And that would be a good study. If we ever get a chance to do it, that would be a nice study. TWOT 1122. Real quick. When the people saw the thunderings and lightnings and the noise of a trumpet and the mountain smoking, and when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. I would too. And Ezekiel 113, as for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. And it went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. So all of these pictures of God, burning, fire, smoke, lightning. And when Zion is finally delivered, her salvation will be like a burning lamp. Isaiah 62 and 1. For Zion's sake, will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And these are good words. Brightness, we'd have to look up. That's the Nogah, brightness, shining, light. This is all connected. I mean, the Bible is one big word. We just have to learn how to define it. Nogah and Naga means to shine or enlighten. And I can think of a couple of different words in the New Testament. Phano, to shine, a lamp that burneth, lapid. All right, so that's a different study. And the governors were like a torch of a fire. In that day will I make the governors of Judah like a hearth. I don't know if I'm saying that right. A hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in the sheaf, and they shall devour all the people round about on the right. Now, this isn't, this isn't literal, right? What is the fire? Where does it come from? It comes from my mouth. And they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand, on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem, like a hearth. Eor, lay of a scaffold pan, hearth. 3564, cooler, furnace. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, you came across that. And fire, of course, is the Esh. We're looking up now. And like a torch, 3940. That's the lapid. Okay, see all of these words pop in. They're all synonymous, and it shall devour, right? All the people, devour the enemies. Moses in a flame of fire in Exodus 3:2, which burned the bush. The bush wasn't consumed. An angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, but the bush was not consumed. It protected the bush from any landing buzzards or browsing goats. Okay. Moses' response is one of fear and attraction. He was afraid and curious at the same time. He was lashed with terror, leashed with longing. The nocturnal pillar of fire preceded and following the people of God in the wilderness guarantees the faithful that they are led and followed by the divine presence. It's not hard to believe that the pulse rate and heartbeat of Moses considerably accelerated when he ascended Mount Sinai, engulfed in smoke, Exodus 19:18. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. To take another portion of scripture, look at the prophetic literature. In the first chapter of Ezekiel, for example, the prophet's life begins with a vision of God, which is determinative for the rest of his life. It is a vision dominated by fire. And Ezekiel 1, 26 and 27. And we can appreciate Ezekiel's problems. He is trying to explain something he has never seen before. In other words, God. I mean, you can't see God, but he'll show you himself in different ways. And above the firmament, there was like over their heads was the likeness. So she's trying to explain this. So he's trying to just describe what he's seeing. And he gives a pretty good description of what he's seeing here. Appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. So, and that's Ezekiel. So, so what does fire symbolize in the Old Testament? For one thing, it symbolizes judgment. Okay. It separates from the tree of life. We just read that about this flaming sword. Sodom and Gomorrah are consumed by fire in Genesis 19. Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, are consumed by fire for offering strange fire, whatever that was, in Leviticus 10. Was it because they took the fire from a place outside the altar area? It could be. Or were they under the influence of alcohol? There were some places in the Bible where it suggests that they were drunk, and you can't do that either. So what's the strange fire? Are they drunk, or they took the fire from the wrong place? Either way, it's wrong. So the strategic thing is that they were disobedient at the point of worship, and that's terrible. God kill you, man. A similar experience befell the sons of Korah when they went up against Moses and said, "You take too much upon yourself." And he says, "Oh yeah, come on over here. We'll see what happens." Ezekiel sees the angelic being scattering coals of fire over backslidden Jerusalem, and Ezekiel 10:2. Scattered over anyone in my sight. On the other hand, fire may symbolize cleansing. On the heels of the war with Midian, in Numbers 31, the priest says that anything that passes through the fire will be clean. In Numbers 31, 21 to 24, Isaiah saw the temple filled with smoke, saw God's glory, and was purified. In Isaiah 6, and Malachi 3:2. A couple of good verses in Malachi 3 talks about the refiner's fire. And we went through that when we were talking about the refining fire. Who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? But he is like a refiner's fire. And we went through this, the saraf, the try, the founder, the goldsmith, smelt, the test. And we went through the testing, and that's what it's all about, testing. And then it's also about judgment too, if we don't pass the test. And that's the refining. refiner's fire and a fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Refiner and purifier. We went through this also. Taher, to clean, purify, purge. And you can look in the New Testament. We'll probably get the word katharizo. He shall sit. There it is. Katharizo. F-S. Okay. Kathidzo. No. Okay, here we go. 25:11. Katharizo. This is the New Testament word for cleanse, to make clean, to be pure. In a theological dictionary. So it's 25:11, 25:13. All of those words have to do with cleaning and purifying. And he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold. Purge, we went through this already. Zakak. To refined, fine, purify, purge. We went through these words a couple of weeks ago. Sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. So that's what we got to do. We got to go through the fire and to be refined in order to be able to praise him. I mean, he says, you praise me nothing if you ain't right with me. You can get on your face all you want. It means nothing. Right? He says, I don't like the smell. And I looked that up. Also, talking about the, I got it down here somewhere, savor, smell. All right. I don't like your stink, he says. That was next couple of pages. This study will probably lead into that. Like I said, we just study one word at a time. This means that that to one fire means death, and to another a life, and that's what I could see that. You know, the evil people are going to be burnt up with the fire, and the righteous people are going to be purified by the fire. Simple as that. All right. To one, it means eternal judgment, and to another, eternal blessing. God's wrath is against all that is impure. So we got to go through that fire. And the fire offering, or the offering made by fire, the etymology of this word from esh is debated. It can be applied to any offering which is wholly or partially consumed by fire. Thus, it is applied to the burnt offering, the cereal, the grain offering, the peace offering, the guilt offering, the consecration offering. It is used over 60 times in the Old Testament. And as you can see, we got the Theological Dictionary 6, which I got up here, and we'll probably read something from that, because there was some good stuff in there that I want to get to when it talks about not only the fire, but the Spirit of God. I'm going to close this out. And here's the fire in the New Testament. Want to get to all of this now. But how many verses are here? There's 74 verses here. 6, 9, 28. Let me see what I have in the Theological Dictionary here on this. If I underlined anything, no. But you see, when you read the Theological Dictionary, it takes you back to the Old Testament. So all of these words for fire, it's 928. It starts on 928. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 different Hebrew words associated with this. The 2 main ones are the 44:42 pur, and the 44:48 perulo, burn, fire. And the rest of these, I like them. We can read them real quick. In 1 Peter 4:12, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. We know what that's all about. Put it in context. But rejoice, inasmuch as you are partakers of Christ's sufferings. So what's this fiery? That's what it is. The fiery trial. Christ suffered. Why shouldn't we? When his glory shall be revealed, you may be glad also with exceeding joy. If you be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are you, for the spirit of glory and of God resteth upon you, and on their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. Let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. So the fire will burn you then. All right. Hopefully we'll come through the fire. And then, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with Babylon, with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. And Babylon is always burning, well, cast into the sea, right? Put it in context here. And we'll read down to 18. And the kings of the earth standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. I believe this is our future here. The merchandise of gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, all the good things in the world, right? Thine wood, all manner of vessels of ivory, and manner of vessels of precious stones, wood, brass, iron, marble, cinnamon, odors, ointments, frankincense, wine, all the good stuff of the earth, slaves and souls of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which are dainty and goodly are departed from thee. Doesn't sound too pleasant to me. And thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, who's that? The people that sell stuff, UPS, okay, shall stand afar off with the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine purple, fine linen, purple, scarlet, all the rich stuff with gold, precious stones, and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all company in ships and sailors and many as trade by sea and afar off stood. And what would they do? And they cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Smoke of her burning. I think that's the 4451. So that's the porosis, burning, fiery trial. Okay. And then you got this one word here, perinos, which is of fire, shining like fire. And it's one verse here, Revelations 9:17. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having the breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. See if these two words are the same here. Brimstone, yeah, 2306. Jacinth, the color of hyacinth, of a red color, bordering on black. So you can picture these breastplates of fire being like red and black. Issued smoke and brimstone. All right. And then his 4450 is purhos, red, having the color of fire, and that's associated with fire. Is red. And Revelation 6:4, and there went out another horse and was red, and power was given unto him, sat thereon to take peace from the earth. So this is the sword. When you talk about the sword, famine, the pestilence, and the beast, the red horse is the sword, and that's war. Take peace from the earth, and they should kill one another, and there was given him a great sword. And Revelation 12:3, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. And there's a lot of study in that, 7 heads, 10 horns. We ain't going to get into that right now, but we know that's Israel giving over their power to the beast. They gave their power to the beast, and that's another study for another day. But this This theological dictionary of the New Testament has a lot of good stuff in it. We just went through a lot of stuff in the Old Testament, so I'm not going to read fire in the Old Testament. Later Judaism and Gnosticism. So the Old Testament, fire in relation to God, fire in theophany. Theophany means a visible manifestation of a deity. And we went through all of that. God is, when you see the fire, it means that God is there. Fire as a means of divine judgment. A primary concern in the Old Testament is Yahweh's judicial intervention in the course of history. And I'm going to go back to the Old Testament here for a second. I mean, when you throw this word into the Old Testament, I think I have it here, 44, 42, here we go, 44, 42. And the verse is Genesis 19:24. Here it is. As you can see in the Greek here, it's the poor, okay? And the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire. So the 44, 42, when you throw it into the Septuagint, if you have a Septuagint, you'll look and it'll become fire here. And that's esh. And that's the word here. Burning, hot, flaming fire. What was I reading? So Sodom and Gomorrah by fire and brimstone exerted a strong influence on the subsequent ideas of divine judgment. Similarly, the motive of the 10 plagues of Egypt, and of which the 7th is the flaming fire mixed with hail in Exodus 9:24. So you'll look for in the Septuagint, Exodus 9:24, and here you'll see. So there was hail and fire mingled with the hail. So I'm not going to read through the whole thing, because this is there's a lot of stuff here about throwing this word back into the Old Testament. And then it left a mark which is still to be seen in eschatological depictions. We know what eschatos is. Eschatos means last. So we're talking about the last times. You're talking about eschatological. And that would be Revelation 8:7. Revelation 8:7. Let me close this. Revelation 8:7. I wonder if that's here. Revelation 8:7. Here we go. The first, let me put it up here. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. Where else do we see the hail and the fire? In Exodus 9:24. And they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up, and the green grass was burnt up. And you can see all of these, the shadow and the very image. The shadow is the Old Testament. The very image is the New Testament, right? So when you look at this Revelation 8:7, it takes you right back to Exodus 9:24. Certain formal expressions are used for Yahweh's intervention in judgment. There went a fire from Yahweh in Leviticus 10:2. There came down fire from heaven. All of these were the close relation between images of judgment and theophany, which is God's divine appearance, a visible manifestation. Expresses the fact that fire is understood not as blindly raging natural force, but as an instrument of punishment in the hand of the divine judge. I have something else on the line here. In pre-exilic times, the reference is usually to partial judgments. Only in Zephaniah 1:18. Let me look at these real quick. Zephaniah 1:18, 18, and 3:8. Zephaniah 3:8. 3:8. All right. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be divided by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy rid of them that dwell in the land. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Phew. And there's a bunch of other verses here. I can't go through all of them right now. Eternal fire is not yet a term for hell in the Old Testament. We didn't come up with eternal fire until the New Testament. There's nothing in the Old Testament really about eternal fire in hell. So the stumble resurrect to life, and some will resurrect to eternal, whatever that is in Daniel. It really doesn't talk about hell. And Isaiah, the most significant Old Testament text is this connection with Isaiah 66:24, in which the worm and the fire denote an unceasing process of torment and corruption. Isaiah 66:24. Isaiah 66:24. And these are some of the verses that you'll come across. Now he wants to go out when you're looking up this word "per" in the Septuagint. 66:24. All right. Good boy. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. And where have we seen that? In the New Testament. That would be Mark, right? Let me see if I got it in Mark. Here we go. Mark 9:48 really talks about it. He says, where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. For everyone shall be salted with fire, and every sacrifice shall be salted with salt. And that's what got us into the morenos, the salt and the savor and the smell and the stink. Hopefully we'll get into that one of these days. There's a lot of good words on savor, smell, and we'll get into that savory meat, dainty meat, and all that good stuff. But this here is talking about where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. I think that's the asbestos word here. Spin on my quench, go out, extinguish. Extinguish fire. Spinomai. There was a word for asbestos. I think that might be it. All right. What else am I reading here? Okay. Isaiah 34:10. Let me do a cross reference on this, see what happens. Cross reference on that. Let me see if Isaiah 34:10 is in here. No, but you got all these verses about fire and brimstone in there. Isaiah, I have to look it up here. 34:10. I didn't think I was going to stay this long on this. It shall not be quenched, night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. What's he talking about here? And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. So, and then you got Judith and a couple of stuff in the other books. Am I going to look at these up? No, I'm not going to look these up. Judith and Apocrypha. Judith 16:17. 16, 17. We don't usually do this, but F, S. I can't get out of this. All right, I can't look at that right now. All right. Eternal fire was not a term for hell in the Old Testament. That's basically what I want to say. Fire as a term for God, and we got all the words for fire being terms for God. If the cosmologically and philosophically oriented understanding of fire in the surrounding world is predominantly concerned with the element, by contrast, fire is viewed theocentrically in the Old Testament as a representation of the mysterious, unapproachable, terrifying, and yet gracious glory of Yahweh in Revelation, and also as a means and established image of his judicial action. So it points to his glory and his judgment. And there's a whole bunch of stuff here talking about the rabbis, apocalyptic literature, the Qumran sect, Gnostic usage, Hermetic writings, and then we got fire in the New Testament, and figurative and transferred uses. I can't read all of this right now, but this theological dictionary has a lot of good stuff in it. Hence the coals of fire, a secondary reference to the judgment of fire. If your enemy does not react to your acts of kindness by a change of heart, in other words, if he now dodges the coals of fire on his head, he will not escape the fire of the wrath to come. And we got the phrase coals of fire, putting coals of fire on somebody's head. Yeah, you can cry till the cows come home. You ain't coming back in here. All right. So fire as a sign of heavenly glory and authority. It's all good stuff. The authority of the Lord who speaks. Flaming fire. His eyes as a flaming fire. His glowing feet. All this good stuff here. The symbols of fire or light are not restricted to God or Christ, but may be ascribed to the angels too, as dwellers of the heavenly sphere. Feet as pillars of fire. General characteristics of angels as beings which share the heavenly glory. Let me see. Splendor of the heavenly glory. That's the doxa. Spirit, fire, glory of heaven. A lot of good stuff. I can't go through it all. Peruo, but it starts on page 928 and it goes up to 952. All right. So there's a lot. Red dragon. Okay. And we looked at a lot of it. So that's the words for fire in the New Testament. And I was reading something, 1077. I still wanted to do this. I don't know if we're going to have time to do this now, but we're not. So I'm going to tell you that Lehaba, I think we read something on this. The flame, the tip of a weapon, the flame, okay. Lehaba and Lahab, and that's TWOT 1097. That's on a list of things to do. And as you can see, I got themes for fire. And if you have a Thompson Chain Bible, you can look at these in the back of your Thompson Chain Bible, where it has themes. And if you got your Thompson Chain, you go to the back and you look at number 1282, 1283, 1284, and 1285, and it'll give you all of these verses here. Eternal, see the future state of the wicked. In 1373, talks about the eternal life. All right. And we read a lot of these verses already. Who among us shall dwell at the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? And the worm shall not die, neither shall the fire be quenched. Matthew 3:12 talks about it. 13:42 talks about the furnace of fire and weeping and gnashing of teeth. What was not found in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. That's good. And then these four right here are together in the back of the book. He answers by fire, and there came out from before the Lord and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces. I would too, in Leviticus 9:24. And then in 1 Kings 18:38, then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust and licked up the water that was in the trench. And that's the story with what's his name, the one against the priests of Baal. And he said, if Baal is the Lord, worship him. If God is the Lord, worship him. And they were calling upon God and whipping themselves and cutting themselves and trying to get the fire to come down from heaven. And what's his name? Elijah. He just said like a 60-word, not even a 60-word prayer, and boom, the fire came down and licked up everything. And David built there an altar unto the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings and called upon the Lord. And he answered him from the heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offerings. 2 Chronicles 7:1. Now, when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering, the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the house. A couple other places too where the fire came down and consumed an offering. I think when what's her name, Hananiah and the other guy, I can't remember right now. So fire as an instrument of divine judgment. When we went through all these verses, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, devoured them. Leviticus 10:2. Fire went out from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Who's he talking about in there? Leviticus 10:2 doesn't ring a bell. Okay. I'm sorry. Nadab and Abihu were consumed by the fire. Okay. And then Numbers 11:1. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, his wrath was kindled. We went through those words. And the fire of the Lord burnt among them and consumed them that were in the utmost parts of the camp. And then in 16:35, and there came out a fire from the Lord and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. We can go through these stories, but you know about them. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And there came fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50. So 3 sets of 50 went out to meet Elijah. And the third set came out and he says, please don't call fire from heaven. So, and 2 Thessalonians 1:8, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. And 2 Peter 3:10, but the day of the Lord will not come as a thief. The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. So much for not sending water, the flood anymore, right? I say, I'll never send water to destroy the earth again. He's going to send the fire. And fire as a purifier. Numbers 31:23. Ezekiel 22:20. All right. Melt you. Zechariah 13:9. The third part for the fire. Malachi 3:2. We read. 1 Corinthians 3:13, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. And we know it's not our works, it's God working in us, the will and to do of his good pleasure. And 1 Peter 1:7, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than that of gold that perishes, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearance of Jesus Christ. So we got to be tried. And fire as a symbol of divine presence and power. Deuteronomy 4:6. All right. 1 Kings 19:12. All right. We got the still small voice. No earthquake, no fire, but the still small voice. That's the one that gets you. Our God shall come in Psalm 15:3, tempestuous around him. 97:3, a fire goeth before him and burnt up his enemies round about. 66:15, Isaiah, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. And I'm sure we looked up all of those words. Fire, flames of fire. Acts 2:3, and there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them. And that's the demarizo, the separation. And when 40 years were expired, there appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai an angel of the Lord in a flame of fire in a bush. And this is Stephen telling his story, for which he was the first martyr, supposedly. And Hebrews 12:29, for our God is a consuming fire. And there's so much to this. There's still so much. The theme tonight, well, I guess, was good, for his glory and for his judgment. So that's basically how we're gonna write it up tonight. The fire. And we thank you, God, for this word. And we thank you for our new brothers that are coming in here, Jonathan. And we just, we don't know what to say. We thank you for this word. That's all I can say. And we give you all the glory, praise, and honor. And we do it all, hopefully, in Jesus' name. Amen. Let me see. I should stop this. Oh, stop recording. Here we go. Thank you, God, for everything.